Everyone called him lazy. They saw a boy who didn't fit, a mind that refused to engage with the world as it was. His name was Silas. As a child, while others chased balls in the schoolyard, he would sit, utterly absorbed, watching ants build their intricate colonies. His teachers, accustomed to linear thinkers, saw only a lack of attention. They marked him down for daydreaming, for not following instructions precisely. His reports often read, "Lacks focus." His ideas, though often brilliant in their own way, rarely aligned with the curriculum's rigid expectations. Aunt Clara, who raised him, tried her best. She saw his quiet intensity, but struggled to reconcile it with the world's demands for conformity. She wanted him to thrive, to find a stable path, but every suggestion, every opportunity, seemed to wither under his quiet, almost imperceptible resistance. Silas wasn't defiant, not openly. He simply couldn't force his mind to care about things that didn't spark his unique brand of curiosity. His focus was absolute, but only on what captivated him. To others, this looked like idleness, an unwillingness to apply himself. He saw connections where others saw chaos, patterns in randomness. But articulating these insights in a structured way felt like translating poetry into a legal brief. High school became a purgatory. The rote memorization, the rigid schedules, they felt like chains around his expansive, wandering mind. He tried, truly. He spent hours with textbooks, but the words blurred, disconnected from the vibrant, interconnected world he perceived. The pressure mounted. Aunt Clara's hopeful glances turned to worried sighs. He could feel the weight of their expectations, suffocating him. One crisp autumn morning, halfway through his final year, Silas made a decision that shocked everyone, but felt inevitable to him. He walked into the principal's office, handed in his withdrawal papers, and walked out into the crisp air, a strange mix of fear and liberation. The whispers followed him. Dropped out. No future. What a waste. Each word a fresh wound, but he felt a burgeoning possibility he couldn't name. His first job was in a small factory, assembling identical circuit boards. The work was mindless, repetitive, and utterly soul-crushing for Silas. His mind, always seeking efficiency, saw a dozen ways to improve the process, but his suggestions were dismissed as not how we do things. After 3 months, he was fired. "Lack of engagement," the supervisor said, echoing the old school reports. The cycle of misunderstanding continued. He found another job, then another, each one ending with the same bewildered frustration from his employers and the same quiet disappointment from Aunt Clara. He tried retail, then data entry, then delivery. Each time, his unconventional approach, his tendency to question the why, was seen as defiance. His family, once hopeful, slowly began to give up. They loved him, but they couldn't see a path forward for a young man who wouldn't, or couldn't, simply fit. Silas retreated further into himself. The world, it seemed, was not designed for minds like his. He started to believe their labels: lazy, unfocused, a failure. But in that retreat, something unexpected began to bloom. Away from judgment, his mind was finally free to roam, to connect, to create without inhibition. He spent hours in the local library, not reading assigned texts, but devouring books on engineering, obscure physics, and the natural world. He tinkered with discarded electronics, taking them apart, understanding their inner workings, and often reassembling them into something entirely new. His small garage became his sanctuary, a messy testament to a mind that saw potential in every discarded scrap, every broken machine. Aunt Clara would sometimes peek in, seeing only more clutter, another sign of his unproductive life. Her heart ached for him. One day, while walking home, Silas observed how the city's waste management system operated, or rather, inefficiently limped along. He saw the wasted motion, the repetitive routes, the sheer amount of fuel consumed. His mind instantly began to model alternatives. It was a tiny spark, an idea born of pure observation and an innate desire to optimize. He couldn't stop thinking about it. The idea grew. What if waste collection could be entirely automated, more efficient, and powered by renewable energy? It was a grand vision, seemingly impossible for someone with no formal training, no industry connections, and a history of failure. He began to work. Hours turned into days, days into weeks. He ate little, slept less, fueled by a singular, consuming purpose. He taught himself advanced robotics, AI principles, and sustainable energy systems, not from textbooks, but from relentless experimentation. His first prototypes were crude, often failing spectacularly. Sparks flew, components melted, and occasionally small explosions rattled the garage. Each setback, however, was a lesson. His mind, unburdened by conventional wisdom, found novel solutions to problems that stumped seasoned engineers. Months blurred into a year. He became gaunt, his clothes stained with grease and solder, but his eyes held a new, fierce light. Aunt Clara, witnessing his obsessive work, worried about his sanity. She saw a young man disappearing into a world only he understood. He tried to explain his vision once, showing her complex diagrams of autonomous routes and energy recapture. She listened, bewildered. "It's just so complicated, Silas," she'd said gently. "Can't you find something simpler, something practical?" Her words, though kind, were a stab to his heart. He stopped trying to explain. The project became his secret, his refuge, his entire world. He felt more alone than ever. There were moments of despair, weeks where nothing worked, where the sheer complexity of his ambition threatened to crush him. He would stare at the unfinished contraption, a mass of wires and metal, and hear the echoes of lazy and failure ringing in his ears. The memory of being fired, the disappointment in Aunt Clara's eyes, fueled a dark thought. Maybe they were right all along. He considered giving up, finding that practical job conforming. The weight of the world's expectations was almost unbearable. But then, a flicker. A tiny, nagging thought about a specific algorithm, a particular energy storage solution, would reignite his unique fire. He would return to his work, driven by an inner compulsion he couldn't deny, a quiet conviction that his way of seeing was not wrong, just different. He needed a specific component, something he couldn't fabricate himself. Reluctantly, he sought out a specialized electronics store. Behind the counter sat Mr. Elias, an older man with kind eyes and a lifetime of tinkering etched into his hands. He was known for fixing anything. Silas, unaccustomed to sharing his work, awkwardly described the component he needed, hinting at its unusual application. Mr. Elias didn't dismiss him. He leaned forward, his interest piqued by Silas's unconventional language and the specificity of his request. "That's a rather peculiar design," Mr. Elias observed, a twinkle in his eye. "What are you building that needs such a thing?" Silas hesitated. Then, feeling a spark of trust he hadn't felt in years, began to explain his vision for the automated waste system. He spoke of algorithms, energy capture, and route optimization, his words flowing with a passion he rarely showed. Mr. Elias listened, truly listened, seeing not a lazy dropout, but a mind brimming with innovative, if unorthodox, brilliance. "You're not lazy, young man," Mr. Elias said, his voice quiet but firm. "You're just speaking a language most people haven't learned yet." Those words were a balm to Silas's soul, the first true validation he had ever received. They gave him courage. Mr. Elias became his quiet mentor, offering advice on obscure components, sharing engineering principles, and most importantly, believing in Silas. With renewed vigor, Silas pushed forward. The final prototype began to take shape, sleek and functional, a testament to his persistent vision. He faced new challenges, of course. Funding, manufacturing, convincing anyone outside his garage that this could actually work. Mr. Elias, through his quiet network, arranged a meeting with a local city council member known for his progressive stance on urban infrastructure. Silas, nervous but prepared, presented his fully functional miniature prototype. He explained the energy savings, the efficiency, the environmental impact. The council member, initially skeptical, watched in awe as the prototype silently and precisely simulated a complex waste collection route. It was revolutionary. It wasn't just a gadget. It was a complete rethinking of a fundamental urban service, solving problems others hadn't even recognized. Support came, funding flowed in. Silas, the lazy dropout, was suddenly hailed as a visionary, an innovator, a genius. His system was implemented in cities around the world, transforming urban environments, reducing pollution, and saving immense resources. Silas, however, remained largely the same quiet, observant man. He wasn't driven by fame or fortune, but by the intricate puzzles of the world. Aunt Clara, her eyes now filled with pride, finally understood. She saw that his laziness was merely a gestation period for brilliance. He wasn't a misfit, he was a pioneer. His quiet persistence, his refusal to abandon his unique perspective, had changed the world. The labels people once applied, lazy, unfocused, now seemed absurd, almost comical in light of his profound achievements. His story became a testament to the power of unconventional thinking, a reminder that genius often wears the disguise of difference. It taught us that true intelligence isn't always measured by grades or conformity, but by the ability to see the world anew. Silas's journey reminds us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to recognize the quiet brilliance that often hides in plain sight. His path was lonely for a long time, misunderstood by many, but his internal compass never wavered from its true north. He proved that patience, self-belief, and the courage to pursue one's own unique vision are far more powerful than any external validation. The world needs its square pegs, its round holes. It needs those who refuse to fit, for they are the ones who reshape the very world we inhabit. Silas didn't set out to prove anyone wrong. He simply continued to be himself, to follow the insistent whisper of his own mind. His legacy isn't just a system of clean cities. It's a profound message about the nature of intellect and the value of difference. We are often quick to judge what we don't understand, to label as flaws what are merely different ways of experiencing reality. Silas's quiet revolution started in a cluttered garage, fueled by a singular mind that saw beyond the obvious, beyond the conventional. His journey was a testament to the fact that true genius doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers its profound truths into existence. He didn't need a diploma to innovate, nor public approval to persist. His validation came from within, from the satisfaction of solving a puzzle. His story reminds us to cherish the quiet thinkers, the dreamers who observe the world with fresh eyes, even when their methods seem unconventional. They are the ones who often hold the keys to a better future, waiting for the right moment and the right people to see their light. Silas found his medium, his purpose, not by forcing himself into existing molds, but by patiently carving out his own unique space. His triumph wasn't just in his invention, but in the quiet affirmation of his own worth, a validation that came from within. He didn't become someone else. He simply became more fully himself, and in doing so, he showed the world a different way of seeing. His early struggles were not failures, but foundational steps, each misunderstanding a chisel shaping the remarkable vision that lay dormant. In the end, Silas wasn't just successful. He was free to think, to create, to be exactly who he was meant to be. What the world calls laziness is often a mind